Well, that's a good thing though.
Not
Sometimes
that
it's
much
nice
of
to
a
have a clean slate going into the week.
exactly, yeah. Because the way all these earnings and the way all these low volume days across the board, it's better just to wait for something better to come along and analyze it rather than at this point I feel like if I was to jump into something, it just would have been gambling. So it was just better just to stay back and just wait for next week.
That's smart.
Good chance to cut bad habits.
You might even find like plays you weren't looking at before too. Yeah, going back into it, you know.
Yeah,
You'll be like, damn, I never traded this before, and then you'll have a great trade on it or something, just because you have that clean, fresh mindset on it.
yeah, and it's a wild animal when you're trying to find something 30 minutes till close.
Oh, big time.
And it's really like 20 to 15 minutes because I'm driving all the way back home. So by the time I get into the computer, I'm really at like about 15 minutes to find a play. So if I'm not really sure about something, there's just no point, because at that point it's just you're gonna miss something so easily, and then there goes your money.
Man, Etsy below 181 is gonna bleed. They have earnings next week as well. Them, I think Roku does as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them having earnings.
Yeah, this is like a really big earnings time. A lot of tech just had them. Now you're gonna see a lot of others have them now. I think financials
I
are.
posted I posted some on the channel, but I included the sectors in them so we could see which sector has most of the earnings going on.
No, that was really cool. I was looking through that actually.
I think there's only one financial, a bunch of consumer ones, communication ones, and technology. I think has the most for this week.
Myth and shared the Square earnings as well because they released it early. Yeah, so I would definitely, if anybody listening now, I would definitely check out all the posts that I at least dropped in the analyst TA channel. I would at least read into those, check out some of the videos I dropped. I talked about semiconductors, I talked about ZM, I talked about the solar sector. And then I also had a bunch of people drop just a few tickers they were looking at. I ended up posting all about those in a video for YouTube. Then I posted a bunch of charts after that for Twitter, Adobe, TPR, which I've never even looked at TPR before, until today at least. I posted shop, and of course we're still going to look at a couple more. I kind of like this Etsy chart, so I'm probably going to post this here in a second. I like this one a lot. Reason I like it is I did all the TA routine on from the left side, just did emerging candles, and I marked the gap range. I found a good 50% retracement from the breakout from here up to this high. The 50% is about that blue spot where we gapped down from, and then so that would have been a really, which I think we did end up looking at that Friday, but that would have been really easy shorts. But as you can see, pick up in volume, so it dropped below the 100% retracement at 181 just from this move here. That would be a really big drop to at least down to here to like 175. So there's a good 5, 6, 7, maybe even an 8, maybe even a $10 move under this 181. So I think Etsy's going to be a really big move. So I'm going to at least add that into the analyst TA channel. So when we go to look at it during the week, we can have some pretty good kind of momentum going towards it. Watching below 181 for a drop to the and then of course, let's not be biased. Above 191, that would definitely recover. But of course, there's other levels we don't have marked from recent trend right here. So of course, we could utilize both of these as well. 187.75 and 191. I like that one a lot though. I like trading Etsy. Their premiums move very well. But are there any tickers within those videos and charts that I didn't post that you guys are still interested in looking at? I posted a ton. You know, there's definitely well over 20 setups within those videos and charts, but if there's of course something I haven't looked at. Yeah, earning on Etsy soon. It's this week. So of course it's going to be slow. We're not going to be able to trade as much as we want, but I really like the setup. I like where it's at, so I want to keep my eye on it. Spotify, they just had their earnings, so yeah, they should be picking up. Oh, see, that's a good pickup. Good job, Leland. So let's do this. I want to mark all the emerging candles over here first, and then we'll focus that gap range. Because there's a good level there, good gap range. Emerging candle right there, which price is sitting on top of. Emerging candle, and then we'll do this. Alright, so that gives me everything I need. We'll zoom in over here. Let's just do this. Let's highlight the range in which we're watching. I think a big thing to note too is that it's lowering buyer volume, but it's above average volume from recent. So it looks like a good bearish candle, but it's actually 50-50 in my mind. You know, it's holding a bullish spot, but with a bearish looking candle, and the volume speaks otherwise. So I think it's a good watch to see if it goes down and dips down to this 223.25, because of course that would be a better entry. You know, seeing it go down and then catch this support here again. You know, not just from that one day. So if it does that, awesome. If it doesn't and it ends up breaking down, I'd be watching it to see if it cracks this low here, because that's going to lead to a big drop. That'll at least read down to the bottom of that. So you'll have a really good drop if it ends up cracking this level here, whatever this is. Yeah, about 220.60, 220.50. So under spot, you know, right there, that's going to be a good pickup. But then of course the gap fill, you know, so this is definitely where I would be watching for BB system. So tomorrow, definitely set some levels on spot if you want to day trade a high probability setup. You know, this looks for sure for a move. You know, it either has to go up and start to keep filling this gap, or it's going to go down and start to either show support catch here, or even break lower. So you have a few scenarios there to watch out for. But I like all of those. Good watch on that, Lee. Then I also need to look at BA. I didn't look at BA, or did I? I'm actually going to be looking for some of these to come down more if a lot of this, scarier news keeps coming in to scare investors. So you actually might see Boeing and all of these keep retracing down. But either way, plan for both sides. You know, don't get biased on any of that. Which I think I covered Boeing in that video. So if you want to check out that trade floor video, make sure to go through that. And if you're just now joining, please make sure to check out all of the analyst TA posts. There's tons of info in there. There's charts, videos, all that good stuff. So if you haven't already, please check it out. But if there's any charts anybody's looking at, let me know. We just went over spot. I've been recording most of this too, so if anybody missed any of the, TA up to this point, I got you. I haven't looked at DE. DE is another one I haven't looked at in a while. We were looking at this just a couple days ago, talking about the monthly chart, which this candle was actually red. It was a red harami at one point, but it actually ended up turning back up. So it's actually looking a lot better. I would have liked a spike in volume again, but we're on the monthly time frame. You're not going to get what you want. But here on the weekly time frame, it is showing a good breakup so far in price, which I'm liking this a lot. So I was kind of looking at this, then we kind of had our range trade, made our higher low, and now we're pushing up. So I do believe you can start to see John Deere move back up towards 373, 374, 375 area, and then above that we can start to confirm to see is that going to go any higher. So that's what I'm going to be looking at on John Deere, so you can start to play bullish plays on John Deere. Really excited about that one. pretty much big supports on this, and a big range that I'm watching too is this 361. As you can see, there's a huge gap range here, which price has filled. We've already played 2 plays within this right here when it was down here, so expecting above 362 for the bigger play. Of course, this will lead to a bigger jump. Let's at least have this marked for everybody in chat. Let me get this posted. But yeah, make sure to post some stuff into post setups if you guys haven't already. I know there's a lot of you who have posted a ton. I'm just gonna post this for everybody. So what I'm typing is watching above 362 for longs, below 355 will bring another slowdown slash retracement. And what I mean by that is just not saying it's going to zero, but it definitely doesn't mean it's going to start breaking out if it ends up cracking this 355 here. Why do I say that? Because this is the crucial resistance in which price broke out. You know, if it comes down here and holds this as support, awesome. But if it ends up breaking this, yeah, it's going to bring another longer, slower, really big range trade we're going to have to watch out for again. You know, it already took this much time just to do this, so it's going to take a lot more time just to redo it again. So, of course, that's why I kind of say it like that. And then of course I look down and I see Leland saying the same thing, 355. Yep, because that's that big common resistance broke out. If it ends up retracing to this first and then holding and breaking out, awesome. But that's gonna be a great play. I always like charting DE. It's very high probability every time we look at it. Also shows a lot of patterns. You know, you guys hear me talk about patterns, and if you have watched the patterns video, or if you haven't, please watch it. But and when I talk in that video, I talk about patterns and what they really do. You know, patterns, no matter what time frame you're looking at, really are what turn a chart around, what turn a trend around. Almost every time you look at a downtrend or an uptrend, at each point you will find a bullish or bearish candlestick pattern. And so that amount of information is crazy that people don't look at that kind of stuff. So, you know, please utilize that info the more you get across them. And again, you don't have to know 20 patterns. Again, we only cover about 8 to 10 patterns, and we still cover so many amazing plays every single day. So you really don't have to know that many. AMAT, I haven't seen that one in a while. Let's look at that. I used to play AMAT a lot. They used to give a lot of patterns. I like stocks like AMAT because they're steady. You know, this is like a John Deere chart I feel like I'm looking at. You know, it's just a good steady uptrend. You just got to be patient and look for good timed out plays. But let's break this down though. Let's see the weekly. Yo, what's up, Mythin? Master Mythin. So let me get some good big weekly emerging candles mark. Let's go to the daily. Mark that gap range. Mark this gap range. I'm going to mark the 50%, which it's probably about right there. Yeah, you can see it lines up too. So we have most of everything we need here. Let's get some ugly trend lines drawn and then we can fix them on the 4-hour. I like this one down here. I don't really think I need one for the top side because this isn't really where I would want to grab from. Really was like this. Price kind of broke out of that. Held on top of it and is now trying to hold above with rising buyer volume. AMAT looks really, really good, Kaizen. Good find. I like this a lot, and it kind of reminds me of those plays that we've been covering lately where we talk about it's like the highest they've ever closed, which no, it's not quite there yet, but it's starting to get there. You know, if it gets above this 142 really, you know, it's going, gone. You can expect a really, really big play from 142. Might as well mark that as well. 142, 143 area. So it looks like you have a $1.25 range to look out for. Gets above that, it's gone. I like that a lot though. Good find, Kaizen. Very, very simple too to add that TA routine onto this chart. Downside too. Let's not be biased. You know what can happen on the downside. So where would you be comfortable to short this? Of course, if it was to one fill that gap, but two break a good common support in which price has been utilizing. You know, so let's look for one. You know, price has utilized this support pretty heavily. Has it used it over here? Yeah, I did. It ended up almost utilizing this on this 50% control point. So let's just remove this. Let's figure out what that green candle's control point is. Because that's about where we were looking right here, and it lines up with where we need to be looking at for recent trend. You know, this is recent price action, so it ends up lining up as a really good common support and good common support right here. But it's also the control point of this big green candle, in which broke out above this trend line that I marked there. So very good hold. You can see the 80% retest, the breakout. So you can look for continuation on that. For downside, definitely not going to want to be in this. For longs, going to want to be shorting this if it crosses 135.50 and under that red candle, this little common support here. So whatever this level is here. It's about 135.50, 135, good 50-cent range. That's a definite high probability chart right there, though. Good job, Kaizen. Thank you for that find. Netflix, Leland said. So I think I didn't cover Netflix in a video or any of those posts, but I have covered it pretty heavily. So I probably won't even have to rechart this. But at first we were watching this gap range. We ended up playing a bunch of plays in between. As it went up to fill that, we played a couple plays. Price has kind of just pushed up, overextended itself, hit the same common resistance of which it gapped down from, pushed back down, and is now trying to hold on top of the resistance turn support kind of look here. You know, you kind of had that common resistance look. Price is trying to fight on top of that, but also it's trying to fight against the resistance at the control point of this big red candle in which it dropped from. You know, so we had this big extended drop, price picked up. That's a perfect little. I mean, you could call it almost an algo drop. You know, with how it 80% entered and then pulled back down. You know, so I'd be looking between. This is really the range of trade right now for Netflix. It's really all right here. It's really this area, but I'm gonna tack on a little bit more room just because you do have common supports recently here. And yeah, Friday's candle. So not only, that's a good point you made there, Leland, without even saying it, I know what you're looking at. So you have a low, which again, you don't always want to play the first candlestick that pops up, you know. So you did have one good pattern kind of pop up here, and now you're seeing a second. So this might not even be the one, but it's still a good sign that this is popping up here as a higher low. So you have a low, and then you have your higher low, but it's not just a higher low. What is it? What candlestick pattern is this? Oops, didn't mean to do that. So in a bullish spot, we have a piercing line right in the same spot as our higher low. So it's not just a higher low, it's a higher low with a little bit more promise to it. Now let's look at our volume. No, it's not average volume, but it is rising past previous date. That's a good sign. So it's a good starter. No, this isn't. Let's just start entering this. We can add this to the watch list for day trades all we want, though. So about this seller candle here. So this is where price ended up dropping from. So we well, not, this isn't where it dropped from. Of course, you can see we dropped from here. But just going from where we kind of continuated from, you know. So I kind of see this just as a basic continuation, you know. So I want to mark from where our new low is to where we dropped to, you know. So we end up dropping all the way to here. So I want to mark the control point of that because that's going to be where we see the buyers go up against that. So really the whole Netflix trade that I was looking at is between this common support and that control point. It gets above that control point, it can start to build support back up to this continuation, back up to the trend line at which it fell from. I don't quite remember exactly what I said, but I did record it, so you can always go back and look as well. But big thing about the candlestick though is it's not just, you know, the first pattern. You know, I wish it wasn't the second one. You know, I always kind of like to see a few pop up. I like to see more price action pop up because to me, this is still just a prolonged, you know, bearish continuation still because we did reject 50% control point of this big red candlestick. We still are in a downtrend and there isn't, you know, a crazy amount of price action here to give us that rounding bottom look. So you are going to want to wait for more passive confirmation. Where is that more passive confirmation? The control point of that candlestick, the common resistance in which we gapped up to and fell from in this recent trend here. So really your whole trade right now on the bigger move for Netflix is going to be above that 523, 525, below this 512, 510, 508.50s area. MCD, it's another good strong company to look at. How'd they do? Pretty good, nice. I didn't actually get to hear or look at their earnings, but I'm sure they did fine. I know all those stocks, all the food stocks had their week or two of ripping, and you could see here on the McDonald's chart when that happened. You can see when all of them started popping off. And that's a pretty good sign. See, it kind of lines up with what I said too, Mythin. It ends up cracking that. That lines up as a weak buyer reaction so far, if you look at it on the weekly. Very nice, Mythin. And see, that's why it helps to have everybody helping out. Now let's see McDonald's. What does McDonald's need to do? So it did have a big reaction after its sell-off, or sorry, after its earnings, not sell-off. I would definitely be looking for a retest of the midpoint, which is not the midpoint, but it's definitely close enough, that 237, because that's the level in which we broke out from. So I would expect a range trade between this common resistance here, which I'll remark it on the daily, because it's not going to be the same level. I'd mark these levels here, and then this gap range. Oh, look, almost kind of where I marked my yellow line just as a joke. But this would be where I'd watch. This is the most important line, so this is control. So price ends up breaking under 241.70. You expect gap fill to 238.60, or even the shoulder fill to 237. So this would be one of two scenarios here in which it drops all the way to fill the gap or the way to the shoulder. Price ends up holding control point. Look for bounce off of that all the way above this 244, because this will be your first confirmation really for longs above 244, in which you can take it to 246. So that'll actually be a really cool trade. So if anybody's looking to try and take McDonald's, those would be the levels I would be watching out for. I'm going to draw some better arrows for people. Alright, we'll check out Upwork and Pins next. Let me post this into Analyst TA. Oh, I see. The base where to draw the fib. So Kaizen, a big thing with where I like to draw it, let's go to like Netflix, because Netflix had a lot of choppy price action there. So let me just erase all this. I can always rechart that. So a big thing with me is not grabbing gap down. So if I was looking for like, so when let's start with just finding base of where to grab it, right? So a good starting point to give you is find a base that isn't gapped down to. So what I mean by that is this was gapped down to. You can see price actually moved down and closed here. Okay, price when it started, this isn't a support. This is where price went down to. So whether it was an emerging candle from the left or whatever, I need to figure that out. But big thing to note from your Fibonacci standpoint is grabbing from a base that was actually held with a close in price action. So I would actually be grabbing from about right here. You know, where price wasn't gapped up or down to. It actually went down and closed to this level. So I'd be looking at it from this standpoint. And you know, if I whatever I was looking for in this area, you know, as a good tool. But let's say for that Netflix chart though, you know, I'm looking above a common resistance. This common resistance right here that price was stuck under. I want to see it get back above that, of course. So I'm going to go to the top of the move of the high, you know, and just like as I was talking from this standpoint, let's flip it to the other side. You know, I'm not going to mark this level because that's a gap up. Price gapped up to be there. It didn't, you know, go up to that point, close there, and then come down. You know, then I would have marked it just like I did here. So of course I'm going to mark it here, and then I'm going to watch this 50% control point here. If that was where I was trying to look at, you know, it's kind of wherever you're trying to look at from, you know, whatever perspective you're going from. So if I was trying to find the 50% control point of this trend because I wanted to see, you know, at this moment, at this day, if price closed under it, should I start looking for puts or for a weakness in buyers? You know, you got your weakness in buyers, you got your put confirmation there. Um, you know, so differently than this perspective where I'm looking at it from here, you know, so let's say I'm looking at it from this point of view, this trend break. I want to see how much from this trend to the support, you know, of this move. So I'd probably still go down to this red candle. I would ignore that green candle almost entirely, just because that's about a morning star. So it's a good reversal pattern. So you could grab from base here. I like to go from the base of where it isn't gapped down to. just so it's a little more precise. And you can see, right there, perfectly against that resistance. So it does matter a little bit, kind of in regards of where you're grabbing from, but it's all about perspective and where you're looking at it from. If I'm looking at it from this perspective to do that, that's why I would grab that midpoint there. If I was looking at it from this point of view for the trend break, of course I want to see, if price, I want to start looking for weakness in buyers, or if I'm looking for a buyer control, I'm going to want to see a pickup in buyers. So that's why I would look at it from that kind of point of view. For certain, I'm a robot. All right, let's look at Upwork. We posted MCD in chat. Thank you, Arcadia, by the way. I was reading through that a little bit while I was going through that. Damn. Net income improved. That's a lot. It's almost 400%. People getting back out and getting fast food. Let's rechart Upwork though. Mythin's throwing takers at us. We gotta hurry. So let's mark a good common resistance right here, and then a good common resistance here that was turned support. So we have a good bottom of our range. Let's go down to the daily. Emerging candle so far, gap range, emerging candle, gap range, emerging, emerging, emerging. And just to finish it off, because why not? So we got most of everything we need. I'm sure there's still a few things we're missing. Trend lines, get an ugly trend line going. We'll just grab from here. So we kind of broke there. Price went up, retraced with lower than average volume for the most part of that run back up. Rejection, big pickup in seller after earnings. So I'd be watching two things on this chart, which it kind of sucks earnings just happened, so I'd maybe wait another day. But you have a good gap fill to look for. But then also you got to look for the rejection, just like in the regards of that Netflix chart, where did price just drop from? It ended up tanking from here, right? So it's kind of hard to grab a fib there and actually kind of respect, what 50% is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab from about support of where we moved down to and held. So it's about right here and move up to this high. And I want to see whatever level that is. So I'm going to just mark that and remove all that because that's a lot to look at. And we'll make that orange so we remember what that is. So that's a big level I'm going to be looking out for. You have the gap range to look out for. So really the entire trade on this chart is this gap fill and then the break below the midpoint, which it's already well under. So I'd be looking for a common support break here from our left side of the chart, which is why, again, you go to the left side, start there, because then you have everything you need here. If I would have just started talking about it like I did that Netflix chart, I wouldn't have been as prepared. But you can see, under 51.60 and under 50.60, you do have a good target to 49.40 and 47.25. Which price already retraced to with a good spike in volume. So I'd actually be looking for a short-term buy reaction, which will probably lead to the gap fill, and then you can start looking for rejection or whatever breakout. Whatever momentum is like here, then you kind of change, the outcome of what you'd be looking out there for. But that's what I'd be looking for from right now. Price is well under that 50%. It's already dropped. We've already done this, lower high. You've already kind of had this pop here. Price broke its trend line, came back up, made a lower high from there. That's very bearish. So price ends up pushing up. Guess where that gap fill stops at? That perfect position for another lower high. So I'd be looking for a fat rejection right there if Upwork does end up pushing back up. Whatever momentum is like there, of course you can change it. If price ends up having rising buyers through this, then of course you're going to play longs. You wouldn't be looking to short it. But that looks really good. I also didn't check the weekly. Let's check the weekly while we're at it. Yeah, inside some candles. They're really just inside this big red candle still, which this is the big decider. That's where the big spike in volume came. You're kind of stuck with high IV probably still because of earnings. Let's look at pins now. Let's start over, of course. Grab a good common resistance. That's all the time frame we have. Let's go from an emerging candle in the weekly to about the support, just so we have a bigger side of the range here. Of course, this will be our bigger target. Go down to the daily. And they had that big drop from their earnings as well. So this is going to be kind of the same TA as that other one. I'd wait another day or so on this, but I'd be looking for short-term buy reaction just because of the sell-off, which, again, might not pay out. You might still get into longs and them not pay out, and that's because of high IV or even just quick decay of the asset. But either way, I'd be looking to just wait another day on this before really trying to get into a bigger play on Pinterest. But day trade wise, tear it up all you want. But just expect higher IV. I mean, earnings literally did just happen. Big price gap. I mean, I felt like I'm looking at Amazon. It was kind of weird when I was looking at Amazon. It really was just a really big range. And you can't not expect a buyer reaction to this. And again, I'm not saying this is what sends it back up and makes it bullish again, or even on Pinterest, buyer step in and take it back up and it's bullish again. I'm just saying it's just a quick reaction. So you might just see a quick buyer day tomorrow. No matter what size it is, I would look to see what kind of momentum are the buyers having as they are going back up and trying to recover price. But let's mark a bunch of levels here that we didn't have. And let's just look at it, so big trend break. And again, just like that other chart, we have our break here. So you have your high, broke, lower high. So it's good. That's bearish. And then it led to a gap down, which again, not saying that's from the TA. I'm just saying that's what led to it. Led up to that point. So now I'd be looking for a quick buy reaction or even a break below that 58.80s really for a further drop. It looks like there's not a whole lot to look forward to support wise till the mid 56s, even mid 55s. So I'd be looking at that for Pinterest. Kind of lining up with the same TA though as the others that have those earning drops. Coin, this is starting to get a lot of hype in the open interest world. A lot more people are starting to get into coin. So again, very expensive premium type play here, but coin is looking to pick up as the Bitcoin hype is trying to pick back up. So I'd be looking to see contracts on this for not day trades, but I'd be looking for really just an alert. So if you want to set an alert on this just to watch some cool TA explode, look above that 255. I've been saying it for a while now to a couple of people who keep asking me about it in chat, but 255 is really the range you're going to be watching for coin. Anything in between or anything before that, you're really just gambling or in too early, because this can break lower before earnings and give you that seesaw effect. A lot of people end up looking at that seesaw effect. Price ends up dropping, holding support, then picking back up. So you're going to end up faking yourself out by getting in before the range breaks. So if you're looking to play coin, I would really just be looking to play above 255 or just wait till 216 breaks, because without that, I mean, you're really just waiting for the move. I mean, besides that, it's just an inside the trade. Huge range though, so of course you can set good BB levels in this and expect good moves and reactions outside of the inside range there, but that's all I'd look out for on coin. And if you're just now getting in here or haven't seen a lot of this, I did record all of this so far, so that will be up after this, of course. But if you guys haven't already, please check out the Analyst TA channel, and you can, of course, see all the little posts and videos and charts I've already posted today. So please make sure to go through those. But also, a huge post by Mythin was posted. Please make sure to check out that. But also, which that's pinned to the private channel, so check on the pinned messages of this channel, and you'll end up seeing that amazing message. It's about fades and all that great stuff. So really big message we've been talking about lately. He put some really awesome terms out there for everybody, but also in the scanner channel, if you guys go in there, please scroll up. He's been posting nothing but amazing gold content in there, so please check out the pinned messages in there, but also the recent posts he's been doing. He's been working his ass off for just to give us that extra content. The big one in particular was the MRVL post he posted on 7/29. If you'll end up scrolling up and seeing that, but also the pinned messages. So again, a lot of the channels that you guys have in this chat have pinned messages and have crucial information in them. So if there's ever a question, I almost promise it's already answered in most of those. So definitely make sure to go through those when you can. But definitely a ton of content for everybody to check out. We have about 300 videos or so on between our two YouTube channels. There's a ton of info in that educational section here in the chat, so definitely share that with other people. If you can see they haven't been reading it, or you can see they have a lot of time in their hands, or whatever. You see people goofing off, but tons of info though to go through, and not even just from me. That's why I want to share, Mythin's post, Leland's post, Nye's post. There's tons of posts to go through with just the, just few people in here, and it's pretty crazy. Harland, he works his ass off to keep the content up and going. But if there's any more charts, I'd love to go through them though. If you guys want to check some out, I've pretty much already gone through everything I wanted to cover in those videos and charts that I posted. So we are pretty much here for you guys. I did go over AMAT. Sorry, Tiffany. We can go over it again. I can show you. It's in the video, but pretty much just shorthand. We're watching below 135.50, below with a bigger target of 133.60s, but below that will be the bigger move, or the continuation, which we're kind of betting on, above the 141.75, 143 range. So just shorthand, that's what we're looking out for. Of course, it'll be in the recording, so I got you there. Let's look at Fedex. Let's see the weekly. So let's grab a good common resistance that was from the past. I'm gonna grab a good resistance from here, and then also just kind of want to grab that support just so we have a good from recent range kind of price going, which we could probably have just done by doing that. Let's go down to the daily. Emerging. I had someone like try to not really argue with me. I don't know what their intention was, but they ended up pointing this out to me on Instagram. Like, are you sure all those levels are needed? Like, yeah, it sucks on this time frame. This looks horrible. But you end up looking at this on the day trade point of view, and you end up appreciating how many levels you have here. You apply that previous day high low, and you apply that pre-market high low. You're setting yourself up for just amazing amounts of levels and targets. So on this time frame, yeah, it looks a lot clustered. On this time frame, this is perfect. Price ends up breaking above this. I'm in calls. I'm targeting that previous day high. You have tons to look out for with this system when you combine all of this together. Bye, Mythin. Hope you have a great meeting. Hope you don't fire anybody. Let's see. So got all of our levels marked from the left side. Got our just lazy line marked just to kind of analyze what's going on here. And you can see price is really just range traded. Oops, wrong line. Price is really just range traded outside of that drop ever since it kind of fell into it. And this again is kind of the opposite of the trend change analysis, which you guys saw in that Roblox video. I break it down all the scenarios again. But you end up seeing one of the scenarios just kind of go right when it exits this trend change. Prices cascading down, ends up breaking out, and then it just kind of range trades, or it ends up literally just range trading. Nothing else happens. That's kind of what you saw there. Price just kind of broke down and then range traded over time, ended up squeezing, and so you got another gap down. So I'd be looking for a short-term buy reaction, kind of like on that other one, just because this is extended. I mean, it has not just range traded here, but has also continuated downwards and has given you a very large gap here. So, which I don't know, is that news related? It'll be on the 27th. Internet outages, that's funny. Yeah, so UPS's earnings probably had some effect to it. But I'd be looking for short-term buy reaction on this just to go back up and at least reject the gap fill here. But two big things to watch out for is going to be, one, the gap fill, two, this common support right here that price had within that squeeze. So this is going to be a really, really big area to watch, which is right there where that gap fill is. So, it's not really adding on anything extra. It's kind of already there in your face. But also the levels you have here from the left side. So you're going to want to watch these in case price does try to break lower. So I'd be looking under 276 or even 274.25. Of course, I'm missing a couple levels here, as you can see. Which actually right there I would mark. Oops, right there. Just because it's good resistance, almost control point of that candle, which held, and then it pushing up a support. Yeah, so I like that a lot. So you have a good level there at 279.50 to 276. There's a lot of levels there. And again, going into tomorrow, don't just have your high, low, and your bigger time frame levels. Mark your pre-market high and low, and you're going to add yourself some more, inside the range levels or even outside the range. Let's say we gap down tomorrow, and your range is here. If price ends up going up and rejecting this, it's going to be looking really, really good for puts. If it ends up pushing back above this, it's looking good to try and recover and even maybe get above its middle VWAP or its pre-market high or its previous day highs. The last line I drew is where your below is nice. Yeah, I knew I was missing a level there just because you can see, if there's a wide range, there's probably a level there you're just not marking or you might have just overlooked, so just go back and kind of analyze what level is there that actually is there. Don't just put a level, a lazy way that works, sadly enough, and I don't know if I should be showing people this, just marking the 50% in between the range in which you see is pretty wide. A lot of the time you'll end up getting that because that your top and bottom level are good. You just sometimes have a wide range. Yeah, we can go over Neo. I don't think I've gone over Neo yet. But that's what I'd be looking on UPS Leland. Let's look at Neo here. Let's go back to the weekly. Common resistance. Let's get a good past resistance that was utilized as support just so we have a good range. Let's go to the daily, and without cheating, let's just focus on this left side. So we get our emerging, gap range, emerging, gap range, gap range. A lot of gap ranges around here. Alright, so got a lot of our levels marked. Of course, we'll have to go back and make sure. But just get some lazy lines going just so we can see, really get comfortable with what happened here on the chart. We did have a very sharp drop. Trend change, price ended up dropping, holding common support across that. Very nice. Ended up dropping after earnings, pulling back up. Good inverse kind of look to that. And out of this range, which was really over here, price ended up pushing back up, holding on support. So good trend line there. Really just telling the story of the chart so you can get yourself more familiar with what's here. Price gapped up. Of course, I'm not going to grab from there. I want to grab from about here. Actually, no, I don't. I don't want to draw anything right there. It's a very weird formation of candles. So we'll end up just drawing, which kind of like Tesla. I know it just kind of had its drop in his range trading. So we'll go from drop. So we'll go from common resistance here within this range, and I want to go to common support. So not something we gap down to. So just like I was talking earlier, I don't want to grab from here. I don't want to grab from here. Price did end up pushing down to here, so we could grab from there technically. I don't think I like any of that though. So we're going to go to the 4 hour, just get a more clear picture. I can't even draw a lazy line there, so I'm going to get a more clear picture here on the 4 hour. Very nice. All right, see, there you go. And this is why I liked, charting with Jay Bake a lot. He was really big on going to the hourly time frames, hourly and 4 hour, and really breaking it down a lot smaller. Because on the daily, right there, it is kind of ugly. I don't really know what to grab from. I really want to grab from here. I want to grab from here. There's a few viable areas that work there. So of course I want to go down to the hourlies and see a more clear picture. And you can see Neo is way more clear here on the 4 hour, and you can see price is trying to break a falling wedge after going out of there. So is this going to push up and create a lower high? Is this going to push up and break and just try and double top? So there's a lot of scenarios that's looking forward here on Neo. That's what you drew out on Neo as well? Awesome. Yeah, you can see it was very hard for me to try to make up something on the daily. I really had to break it down and see it more clear. Let's go back to the daily. I know there's a couple levels here I missed. So you have a good push up to here, good common resistance. And then let's get a couple levels over here from this push up here. Not much more I can grab. Alright, yeah, it looks like everything. So it looks like above 46, you're looking really good. So that's a good target. So I'd be looking above really previous day high. You have a really good break right here. Above 45 to 46, that's a really good for sure dollar move. Hopefully your pre-market high doesn't change. Above 46, you have another target, and so on and so on. And then same for the bottom side. Let's not be biased. Let's plan for both sides. Break of 44, which was used as a good common support for intraday as well, lining up with your bigger time frame. You can expect a bigger move down. So let's say your pre-market low is way up here. You have a good initial breakout to a good initial target. Let's say price is way down here. You have a good initial breakout from your pre-market low and your bigger time frame under 44 to those common levels over here at 43.15 or even 42.50. So there's a lot to take away from on this chart. But Neo looking really, really good. I like that a lot, that it's trying to poke its head out with rising volume. A lot of these charts, don't really have that. They're trying to poke out with really nothing. But a big thing that's hurting Neo is the Chinese news. So it might not have directly hurt them, money-wise or anything, but it is still going to hurt them. So if any more comes out with that, of course they're going to take hits. So be very careful if you do trade Neo. I'd say if you do trade Neo in the near future, just play light. Go a contract or two. Don't go any heavier than that. And there's just no need to, because if any of that crazy catalyst come out, you're kind of screwed on it. So, considering it's a small cap, would you wait for the retest of that breakout if it does push higher, or just catch the break? It's already kind of breaking out, in my opinion, honestly. So if that was your take on it, you probably should have just entered Friday. If that was your take on entering, as the breakout. But that's the amazing thing about day trading. So let's say you grab two contracts, right? grab 2 contracts that you would actually swing, or even just grab 1 or 2 that you wouldn't swing for a good day trade. And then after that, roll out, get something that you can swing. But if you are looking to actually take this for a swing, you can grab whatever amount of contracts, at the breakout of 45 or that previous day high, and end up taking that to 46 for a good initial scale out target. Sell 1, hold 1 for a swing if you do truly like how it holds. If it ends up coming back down, you end up selling it back, neutral. You don't have to worry about it. But I would really take it step by step on that one. Also, it has earnings coming up pretty soon, and you're going to want to watch all the other EVs. Like Tesla. They just had theirs, which we kind of knew they were going to do good. If you don't think Tesla's going to do good, you're crazy. So that's really all you have to watch for Neo, really, is Tesla. I don't even really watch some of the other EVs when it comes to watching Neo. Tesla really just has a different effect than everybody because they really are global. All these other dogs are just like one country. Tesla's over here with like 3 different continents. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, if you guys have anything else to look out for, let me know. But this is a pretty big recording so far. We got about 46 minutes on this, and most of it really was breaking down a lot of good material. But if y'all want to start doing more of these again, we can. My schedule has started freeing up now that we kind of have a more comfortable grip on the schedule. But I really like this stream schedule. I like the Fridays with Harlan showing up because it kind of relieves me and I could just do my own thing, take a break from chat. But a big thing though is being active, engaging. If you guys truly do want to grow, I really would engage with as many people as you can. If you see someone post a chart, post your thoughts on it, even if it's something you weren't looking at, any of that. Be a leader. But yeah, let's look at lows. Let's look at PFE. Yeah, sorry Tiffany. I'll try and have more of a setup time on this. So if this is a good time, let me know after the stream ends, everybody, and we'll try and make this a time every Sunday. But I want to make this a weekly thing again, like we used to. I just needed to have that time to really get comfortable with the schedule we had for streaming, because that's a lot of streaming I do, and it really does take it out of me. So, it's not as fun to come in here and give you guys my 0%. I want to come in here and have my all for you. So. But yeah, we'll try and do these again where we have each Sunday or each, every Wednesday or something too. But we'll start off with just Sundays for now, and we'll work ourselves into it. But let's look at lows and PFE, and then we'll break off. Let's just start over. Let's see. Good common resistance, common resistance, common resistance. Most of what we wanted. Let's go to the daily. Got a good common resistance there as a good kind of just bottom of our range. Another one on top. We can really remove that and add this if we wanted. But no, we could try and do these every Sunday. I like this. As long as you guys come in here posting a few charts or whatever, we can at least go through a couple of what y'all want to look at, and then of course go over whatever I'm going to look at. But each day I like to try and post, or each Sunday I should say, I like to post before and then a few after, just to kind of show, or I should say after market opens each Sunday for futures, just because I like to have, a bunch of posts out there for people who don't have the, time each morning or time each day to go through here on a Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday and actually look at this stuff, so you can always trust on me posting a ton of setups each week and each Sunday in both video and picture format. So if you're someone who prefers one way or the other, I promise you'll have both. So definitely look out for those, and definitely check out the content I'm posting. There's a lot of TA posted, a lot of setups posted. And it's not really necessarily for all of you to jump in as a trade. And if you do take them as a trade, awesome. If you make money, whatever, awesome. But it really is just to show you guys the breakdown before something moves, and then of course the almost most important aspect of reviewing afterwards to see what happened after the move happened. I mean, really, you can't just break down something before, ignore what happened after, and expect to learn. You really do have to go back and see what happened. You have to backtrack it. So lows, really, really clean levels here. It really wasn't hard to grab them all, Leland. Had a good slight trend change there. Price and lows not, crazy for them. Almost didn't even make a lower high. It ended up just holding all the way up. As you can see there, that little angle. But really, it's just range traded. I'd be looking between, where it pushed up at, which was really right here, and you can see it's going against right now, and then right here. So price gapped up out of that. I would ignore that candle entirely. There is no candle there. Just focus on the 198.50. That's the bigger breakout level. So bigger breakout levels, 198.50, 191 flat is what I'd be looking at. 189.20 is going to be a good outside of the target just for double confirmation on momentum. Because let's say price just ends up slowing up there. Of course, it's going to try and catch support. There's a good gap range here too that price has never filled, so you have that to look out for. But I would actually be looking for lows to hold this range and try to bounce off the bottom of it and move to the top side of that blue rectangle you saw me draw. And that's just from the daily time frame. It's kind of hard to go down much further and say much else. That was pretty much everything. Very clean chart though. And again, you know me, you know what I'm going to say. Go back and look at HD, go back and look at DE, CAT, all the ones that relate to it. But let's check out PFE and then we'll roll out of here. Ooh, very nice. I already like this one just by looking at the last three candles. So big thing to mark instantly is one good common resistance over here from this emerging candle. I want to mark this one just to have more. Let's mark a few of these just because why not? It doesn't hurt anything. Big things to note is we have a big range, or sorry, good gap fill here, gap range there. Our common resistance right there, all-time high. And ever since we hit all-time high, we have really just traded within ourselves. This is the perfect definition of a squeeze. A squeeze is essentially just trading something within itself, really. It just ends up leading to itself like a balloon with too much air. It ends up popping. So really that's what you're seeing here on PFE. So I'd be looking for really a few things. This common resistance here, the support here, this gap fill, those are going to be your two biggest confirmations for your bigger move here are going to be these spots. But then also the control point of this bigger green candle, because that's what we're trading inside of, right? So let's see what the 50% is. That's going to be leading to what brings you down to calls or puts going into day trading. So tomorrow, well, let me remark that so I know which one I'm doing. Colored orange. So tomorrow, I'd be looking at this 42.90 slash previous day high. It looks like above this little range here of 42.90, 43.05 is really, really good for you. So that's one confirmation of big move up. But then you have the outside of that squeeze. So I'd be looking at that and that little range there for the bigger move up to 43.50 and even essentially 44, 45. And again, not be biased, what do you look for on the bottom? I'd be looking to see what happens with that gap fill. Price ends up breaking to the downside, ends up breaking in this 42.60. I'd look for 42.33. It ends up closing under 42.33. You can expect the gap fill to 42.10. Okay, when I drew that fib, I only did the green candle because that's what price is trading within right now. Price is stuck within the range of this candle. So I just did this candle for that sense. Essentially, though, you could draw from a few different spots, but I promise you it's going to grab you about the same range I drew. Yeah. Which is kind of funny. But that time, no, I just drew that candle because that's what we were trading inside of. But no, sometimes I will do that. Let's say these candles weren't trading with inside it. Let's say price was doing this. Then I wouldn't be grabbing that. I would be grabbing from right there, that lower spot like you said. And then I would go to there. That's what I would normally grab. But see, it's momentarily, it really is perspective. Like, on the other chart, no, I wouldn't do that. On this chart, yeah, I would do that. So it's just kind of when it pops up and really does need that. But you can see it is kind of situational. But that should be it, though. We got about 53 and a half minutes here I get to upload. But if you guys have any questions or any of that, let me know. But definitely glad to have you all here. Hopefully we can do this again next Sunday. Feel free to post some charts in the Post Setups channel or engage wherever. But please check out these streams tomorrow. We definitely have tons of content to go through. But if you haven't already, make sure to check out all the content we have posted. I posted a tons of videos and charts and all that good stuff. So